Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we end Horus week, and my what a finish we have with Horus Lupercal meeting the pantheon of the Chaos Gods. Spoiler warning to begin, the events we are discussing today are from the Horus Heresy novel Vengeful Spirit, and as always I really recommend you read the novel for yourself first, as that's the best way to enjoy the lore for yourself. Not only that, but we help to support the Great Black Library and Games Workshop, and I will put a link in the description as always. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. Now, in the previous upload we had discussed Horus realising the Emperor had toyed with his memories, which led him onto his crusade to Molech, and ultimately entering the portal to become akin to a god. Now, as Horus smashes the wall of the portal with Worldbreaker, the cavern floods with darkness. Like some kind of tidal wave of dark matter. It just pours out until there is nothing. Just a void of darkness. No stars, no sounds, nothing. Just Horus. And then a world of ash waste sand and blazing orange sky, dominated by fire, fills his view. Horus heard the clash of swords, but no battle. The plaintive cries of lovers, but no flesh. Whispers surrounded him, plotting and scheming as he felt the cyclic entropy of his flesh. Old cells dying, new ones born to replace them. The sounds of chaos, the clash of swords clearly corn, cries of lovers, Slanesh, whispers obviously Zinch, and cells dying and being replaced, Nurgle. The gods no doubt pleased their prize has come to them. The heavens themselves are on fire, and Horus then finds he's standing within an 8-armed circle of stones, the world around him twisted and misshapen along the 8 pathways that lead away. He states he's travelled worlds like this before, as if he's reconfirming to himself he knows what he's doing. Each of the 4 cardinal paths ended at a mountaintop fortress, to rival that of the Emperor's palace. Their walls were brass and gold, bone and earth. They glimmered in the ruddy light of the firestorm. Screams issued from each of them, and booming laughter of mad gods rolled down from the peaks. Ah, Horus, how on earth could you think you're in control of this situation? He's played right into Chaos's hands, literally now walking the path to damnation. The demon, the Red Angel, then appears with him, informing him the gods are mocking him. A clear attempt at riling the Primarch. You are a mortal in a realm of gods. You are an insect to the pantheon. Insignificant and unworthy of notice. A fragment of dust in cosmic wind. Now, of course, the arrogance of the War Master takes the bait, grabbing the demon by the throat, squeezing the life out of him. Horus nodded to the vast citadels in the mountains. You're here to guide me. Your masters need me. So take me to their fortresses. Speak my name and tell them the galaxy's new master would treat with them. Horus drops the angel and thunder booms out from the mountains, with anger, squeals of delight and whispers, as a million voices fill the air. The Red Angel simply replies, "Very well, I will take you to the Ruinous Powers." Now, I'm sure I'm like many people in thinking Horus comes across like an arrogant douchebag for most of the heresy, and of course he's supposed to. But reading this, I even felt a bit of sympathy for him. How far he has fallen. Just listening to his words. Your masters need me. Tell them the galaxy's new master would treat with them. He truly believes he's on a level playing field, but I can't help but feel he's nothing but a pawn. He's been manipulated down this path ever since Davin. but still he believes he's the master of his own fate. But of course you could look at it another way, that despite his corruption, he's still very much the Horus Lupercal of old. He's here to take the power of the gods on his terms, but that's just not the reality of the situation. The next we see of Horus is when he emerges through the portal back into the material realm, and his sons rush to his side, and Horus seemingly can't believe his sons are still there. His voice little better than a parched whisper. "You waited for me, after all this time." His men are confused. He's only been gone a few moments to them. And slowly the realization dawns on Horus. Everything is still to be done. "Brother," said Mortarion, cutting through Aximan's self-recrimination, "did you find what you were looking for?" Horus stood to his full height, and Aximan's eyes widened at the sight of him. The War Master had aged. Cophonia had shaped him, moulded him into a warrior of flint-hard lines and cruel beauty. 2 centuries of war had left no mark upon him, but moments beyond the gate had done what the passage of time could not. Silver streaked the stubble upon his scalp, and the grooves at the corners of his eyes were deeper and more pronounced. The face Aximan had devoted his life to serving was now that of an ancient warrior who had fought for longer than he could ever have imagined, who had seen too much horror, and whose campaigning days had bled him dry. Yet the fire and purpose in his eyes was brighter than ever. Nor was that fire simply confined to his eyes. What Aximan had taken to be cold flesh was the power of the Empyrean, distilled and honed within the body of an immortal being. Horus stood taller, fuller, and more powerfully than before. Lupercal had always found War Master to be an awkward fit, a term never fully bedded in or taken as read. Now he owned the title, as though it had been his long before there was any such office to take. He was now, naturally, and without equivocation, the War Master. His sons backed away from Horus, each of them dropping to their knees in wonder as the power filling the Primarch bloomed in the material world. Even Mortarion bent the knee to Horus in a way he had never done for the Emperor. Horus grinned, and all trace of the war-weary ancient was banished in the blink of an eye. In his place was a mortal god, brighter and more dangerous than ever, filled with a power that only one other being in all existence had wielded before. "Yes," said Horus, "I found exactly what I was looking for." 2 centuries left him unchanged, but a few moments within the warp had clearly aged him. Just how long has Horus been in there? We could be talking thousands of years here. The face Aximan had devoted his life to serving was now that of an ancient warrior who had fought for longer than he could ever have imagined, who had seen too much horror and whose campaigning days had bled him dry. Just how much has Horus been through? Well, we don't know exactly, at least not yet, but we are given a glimpse at the end of the novel. His sons told him he'd only been gone moments. How could he tell them different? Molech was a far distant memory to Horus now. He'd fought wars, slain monsters, and defied gods in those moments. He'd wrested the power of those same gods at the heads of vast armies of demons. He'd fought in battles that would rage unchecked for all eternity. He'd won 1,000 kingdoms within the Empyrean, billions of vassals to do with as he pleased. But he'd refused it. Every pleasure and prize was his for the taking, but he'd denied them all. He'd taken the power his father had taken, but he'd done it without deception. He'd taken it by force of arms and by virtue of his self-belief. There was no bargain made, no promise to honour. The power was his, and his alone. Finally, after everything, Horus was a god. Man, I would love so much to believe Horus had taken the power, that he'd led demon armies against the gods and taken all the power through his own means, through pure brute strength. But I just can't believe it. I have no doubt he fought the wars for countless years within the realm of chaos. But unfortunately for him, I think it was nothing but being a plaything for the gods, simply and easily manipulated, used within their great game for nothing more than entertainment, and only released back to stop the one thing they truly fear, the Emperor of Mankind. Black Library and Games Workshop will be really missing a trick here if they don't give us a series on Horus's time within the warp. I mean, with this setting, they've just got to, surely. But guys, what do you think? Did you enjoy reading about Horus's time within the warp? Would you like to see more like me? And do you think he was manipulated by chaos? Or do you think he dominated them by sheer force like he believes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below as always. I love to read them. A huge thank you to all my subscribers. Your support really means a lot to me. It truly does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. If you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.